Now welcome to another lightning response video, where this time we have a question from Dylan Roberts, who asked, "Hey Thor, I got into a conversation with someone earlier on. We were talking about how there aren't original stories anymore. In my opinion, there aren't any stories that we have never been told before. There's no story unheard, no matter if it's in a movie, novel, TV show, comic, etc. Only stories told in different ways. I'm wondering what your opinion would be. Are there stories that are 100% never told before, or is everything just stories that have always been told just in their own way? What's considered original?" And as a lot of you out there probably know or have heard before, but there is a commonly held belief that there are indeed only like 6 or 7 different types of stories, and that every story ever told can more or less fit into one of those categories, and that there is virtually no way to tell something truly original anymore, which I kind of agree and kind of disagree with. First, I do think it's certainly possible there are types of stories that have never been told before or that don't get told very often, though yeah, most stories, when you really kind of break them down to their core components or what they really are all about at their core, or what the character arc perhaps of the main protagonist is, they can generally fit into a few different categories. And that what can make a story feel truly original, at least to some degree, is finding a new and unique way to do or tell the same old story, or to put an interesting spin on it in order to make it stand out from the crowd. To find new circumstances maybe, or a new type of setting perhaps, that makes it feel fresh or masks the fact that you've seen or read or played this type of story 100 times before. I mean, how many times have you started to watch a show or a movie or read a book, play a game, whatever it might be, and once you figure out just the basic premise of the story you are watching, you can pretty accurately guess exactly what is going to happen or exactly how it'll ultimately end, unless of course there is some sort of big twist along the way or for the ending. Which I think the fact that so many things, so many pieces of entertainment are very predictable, I think that is one of the big reasons, maybe the main reason, why people are seemingly attracted to so much morally gray or so many morally gray stories or characters these days. That being because you have seen this same story so many times before, a million times before. Again, they're usually very predictable. And when things are more gray or ambiguous, where there really is no good and bad, it means they can or often do have very unpredictable events taking place or have a completely unforeseen ending. Because no, they don't have to follow that normal hero versus villain or protagonist versus antagonist dynamic or dichotomy. It's not always clear who, if anyone, you should even be rooting for in those types of stories. Or you may come to like someone for whatever reason you personally want to like them or to root for them. Not because they are the clear hero of the story that you're supposed to be rooting for. And liking or not liking a character is still obviously very important in these types of stories. If you do go morally gray or ambiguous, you still have to make sure you create good, unique, interesting characters that people can and will get vested in. They have to care about them one way or the other. They have to want to see them win, or to maybe see them lose, or even be killed. I'd say it's even one of the reasons why I thought the recent show on HBO or Max, The Penguin, and no real spoilers for it if you haven't seen it, but one of the reasons that show worked so well, it is a fantastic show, you should give it a chance. But one of the reasons it was so interesting, despite virtually everyone in it being kind of a villain really, including our main character, the Penguin, but it works because despite being bad guys, you still come to care about them and to root for them and to maybe even kind of want better for them, to become a better person. Or you simply want them to win or lose because you like or don't like something about them. Not to mention the fact that, well, it's all villains means you're unlikely or it's not possible to simply get the good guys winning in the end, since there are no good guys. This also then ties into one of the big reasons or main reasons, maybe again the main reason, why Game of Thrones was such a huge success. Because in that show it felt like things would just kind of happen, and they would happen because the characters made them happen. Not because we were following some tried and true storytelling formula that had maybe a moral lesson in the end that would end in a certain way because of that. Things instead felt very haphazard, in a good way, and more like real life, where anything can and does happen at any time because horrible things can and do happen at any time in real life, and they can happen to good people just because stuff happens, or because someone else made it happen to them for their own reasons. And I think one of the reasons why the later seasons, especially the 8th and final season, why it wasn't so enjoyed by the fans was because after so many seasons of just getting this haphazard approach, letting characters do what they do and then seeing what happens as a result, well, it all started to feel very contrived and rushed. Like everything was now happening because of a guiding hand behind the scenes, because it was being written this way. And in order to wrap this show up, you had to now direct them to an end point instead of the characters, again, just doing things that felt 100% motivated by them in a story that just kept going and going and going. And though certainly Game of Thrones was not the first story to ever do something like this, but I do fully believe one of, again, the main reasons behind its popularity was that it did feel very original to do something like this. It did break away from the mold of always seeing the good guys some way, somehow win in the end. It played on uncertainty, which attracts people. The unknown or the uncertain outcome attracts people to watch because they just get interested, again, primarily in the characters, and want to know what happens to them. I'd even argue it's that very same mechanism within us that drew so many people to Game of Thrones that draws so many people to something like professional sports, watching them, not simply trying to play them, or even why they enjoy reality TV or game shows or anything of the sort. It's because of the truly unknown outcome and the ability to root for a side, a team, or a person in whatever contest it might be that you like and care about for your own reasons, not just because they're the one the story tells you to root for. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're rooting against a team or someone in a reality show because you think they're a huge asshole and the last thing you want is for them to win the prize in the end because they don't deserve it, or they're going about things in a shady or underhanded way and you want them to lose because of it, especially when that other person is so much nicer and you like them and you want them to win because they deserve it or need it more. But there's no guarantee the nice, deserving person, the good guy, is going to win in the end. That is the part that really draws you in. Again, uncertainty. And so, getting back to the question, originality in story isn't dead, and not every story has been told. Yes, these days we have a lot of remakes and sequels and shared universes and not a lot of originality in general. We are literally getting the same story over and over again a lot of the time, which probably makes it feel more like there are just no new stories to be told. But I do think there are ways to tell stories that maybe if you dig deep enough, yeah, they're the same old story in some respects, but they're being told in new, fresh, and unique ways that haven't exactly been done before, and that can capture big audiences, and without just relying on the Game of Thrones formula of going completely morally gray to the point of absolute uncertainty, which sounds like a contradictory term I just created. But yes, despite having been done before many, many, many times, I still think classic style stories can be told, the tried and true good versus evil, in ways that connect with and excite viewers or readers, and that with pretty much all stories, it simply comes down to the characters. It comes down to creating ones that people will care about one way or the other, wanting them to win or lose. That, in my opinion, always has been and always will be the key to good storytelling. It is always going to come down to the characters, not necessarily the formula or how many times it's been done before. Yes, absolutely, finding unique ways to do it is important, I think, but there is still a form of originality out there for sure. Alright, well, that is going to be all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below and tell me what you think. Is originality in storytelling dead? Are there no new stories? Are they all the same thing, just told in a different way? Or you can always ask a question for a future lightning response video. Just start your comment off with "Hey Thor" and then ask away. But whatever you choose to do, leave a comment below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.